Good evening. How are you? I'm Matt Piota. I'm one of the operating partners of Hughes Chop House.
Okay.
Hughes, I'm sorry, excuse me. I'll apologize first. I'm a chef by trade, so a very terrible public speaker. But I guess this story started about almost 16, 18 months ago with my partner and I. We kind of, I own a local business and operate Pacero at 3 South Evergreen Avenue as well. And my partner and I had, originally, really wanted to, he had invested in a building at 9 North Vale and was looking for an operator for a restaurant. And my history background was before this restaurant was 10 years of operating a steakhouse for a major steakhouse in the Chicagoland area. So it was something that was always on our mind, and this village has always been, so great with the community for my current restaurant that it was just something that I wanted to, put forward in this village too as well. So we came up with the concept of Hughes Chop House. Throughout this time, we've kind of had different concept developments and how we are going to, portray this different restaurant. And we took into consideration all the different aspects of demographics and just, the business in downtown Arlington Heights too as well, and what the customers were really looking for and what the village was really looking for to work for, this type of concept. So we have kind of developed it into a chop house, Chicago style, but also an American bistro to make it more approachable for everybody too as well that's coming in here. Still sticking to the quality aspects that I have in terms of how I operate my businesses as a chef is paying attention to high quality food at a reasonable price for everybody, and something that I think the village of Arlington Heights, the one thing I really love about it is there's just so many different opportunities for a restaurant, whether it's date night, whether it's families, whether it's a big celebration, a small celebration. So it's just a great place to have this type of business in here, and I'm looking forward to opening this up. And I think it's taken a little bit more time because we originally started with just the first floor, which is about 4,000 square feet, 3,800 square feet. And as we kind of kicked the can down the road and more ideas, we said, hey, let's develop the whole building, and that's where the special use permit came into play recently. And so we plan on developing a full service restaurant downstairs with a 16-seat bar, another 76 seats, I believe, give or take, my math, excuse me, downstairs, full service restaurant. Upstairs will be more of a lounge aspect, but still, having tables, but also one of the biggest things that I see in my current business is we have a private event space, and we are consistently running out of room or don't have enough space in there because it only holds like 50 people. So upstairs we'll be able to hold about 90 as a private event, and then we'll also have a small bar and a little wine tasting room upstairs too as well. A small little stage for little small entertainment too, if we have that on the weekends as well. So
Very good. Yeah. Okay, so that's you're here for a special use because of the fact that the second story kicked you over a square footage.
Correct.
Maximum.
Yeah.
What is it? 5,000 square feet.
I think maximum, now with the second floor, we're at about 7,100 square feet.
Okay. Staff want to do a presentation, please? Ms. Rodman? You can have a seat real quick. Thanks.
As the petitioner mentioned, we are here this evening to consider the special use permit and a variance for 9 North Vale. As he alluded to, the village code does allow for a special use waiver for restaurants that are less than 4,000 square feet. But because this total restaurant with both the first and second floor is 6,300 square feet, that is why they're coming before us this evening with the special use permit. So Just to provide a point of reference, the restaurant is located at 9 North Vale. It is on the east side of Vale, just north of Campbell. The lot size is about 5,400 square feet. It is zoned B5 in our downtown district, and the comp plan does designate the property for mixed use. As we mentioned, they're requesting that special use permit for a restaurant and also a variation from our requirement to provide a traffic and parking study. So as the petitioner mentioned, they're proposing to operate a steakhouse / American style bistro on both floors of the structure. The proposed hours of operation are 4:30 p.m. to 11 p.m. during the week and 4:30 p.m. to midnight on the weekends. They are hoping within 6 months to a year to be able to expand the service that they offer and add brunch on the weekends as well as lunch service during the week. So we are hoping that they're successful and able to do that. They anticipate that they will employ between 30 and 40 part-time workers who will work alternate days at the restaurant with only about 8 to 10 employees on any given shift at one time. As he alluded to, the evolution of this project has been a little bit unusual. This is a timeline just to help the board and the audience follow the progress of the project. So they initially submitted for a building permit for their interior work in March of last year. They did also have proposed exterior work, so that required a design commission approval, which they obtained in April. And then they obtained their zoning approval from Planning and Community Development for that first floor use of 3,200 square feet in August of 2025. And then subsequently got their building permit and were able to begin work last fall. They did rethink their concept, as he mentioned, and decided they wanted to expand the operations, which did require not only a change in the zoning approval, but an amendment to their building permits as well as their design commission approval. So they submitted their application in March of this year for the Plan Commission for that special use permit that we're considering this evening, and they submitted modified building plans to reflect the additional work on the second floor as well in April. They did receive their building permit to begin work on the first floor. We did want to work with them so they could make progress on the project and not be entirely on hold. So they did split the permit out so that they could do the work on the first floor now while awaiting the approval for the second floor. So they obtained their amended design commission approval in April and received the exterior permit work so they could begin that facade work in April. And then, of course, that brings us to the point this evening because we are looking to move this project forward quickly. We are asking the board to both consider this project this evening as well as actually approve the ordinance that would grant them their final zoning approval. In terms of parking, they do require 16 parking stalls. The parking, as you see on the screen, is based on the public seating area because there is no on-site parking. They would be required to purchase parking permits for the Vale Avenue parking garage, which would be finalized at a later point in time. This is just a picture of what was the existing facade. They, as I have mentioned, already started the facade work, but this is what that building looked like under the prior tenant, and this is what was approved by the Design Commission as the ultimate new facade. So quite a significant change. The Design Commission, as I mentioned, did consider the project. There were a number of recommendations that they had. I will not read this very long slide to you, but they did have some suggested tweaks to the design just to provide some enhanced aesthetics, and they had some comments on the proposed lighting as well. The Plan Commission, when they considered this last month, did recommend approval of the project. They had some conditions as well. As I mentioned, one of the Plan Commission conditions is that they work with staff to purchase the appropriate number of parking permits for their employees. They have not included a formal signage package with their approval, so that will need to be submitted separately under a signage permit. At this point in time, they are not anticipating offering outdoor dining for this alfresco season, but there is the condition in there that before they're able to offer outdoor dining, they need to enter into the appropriate license agreement with the village. They do intend to serve alcohol, so obviously need to also obtain the appropriate liquor license. And then, of course, that last condition is our standard condition. This is the motion that's before the board this evening. I would like to make one note, and I do apologize in advance for the oversight. The ordinance that is in your packet includes the Plan Commission recommendations, but it does not include reference to the Design Commission recommendations. So staff would recommend that we adjust this language of the motion to say that it's a motion to approve an ordinance granting a special use permit and variation for a restaurant, amended to include the Design Commission recommendations, if the village board is amenable to that change.
And the Plan Commission.
Correct. The Plan Commission recommendations are already reflected in the ordinance. It's just the Design Commission ones that are not.
Okay. All right, very well. Let's hand it off to the board. Are there any questions or comments from anyone on the board? I see Trustee Manganaro has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, Mr. Peyote, I'd like to thank you, you don't need to get up, for bringing this project forward and for your brief explanation that did clear up a couple of things for me, especially about the detail of the upstairs. Looking forward to seeing this space getting used again, and Ms. Rodman, the discussion about trying to expedite the project. And in that vein, I'm prepared to make a motion to approve the final documents granting zoning relief for consideration at this board meeting for PC 26-005, special use permit for a restaurant in excess of 4,000 feet and a variation to waive the requirement for traffic and parking study, subject to the recommended conditions, all as set forth in tonight's board meeting, amended to include the recommendations of the design committee.
Second.
Motion made by Trustee Manganaro, seconded by Trustee Santamaria. Further commentary. And before we go into further, can the petitioner come up really quick? You read the conditions from the Plan Commission. You have that packet. You agree with all of those?
Yes.
Very good. That's it. Thank you. Trustee Zick, you had a hand up?
Thank you, Mayor. I think this sounds awesome. I'm looking forward to this getting going, and that upstairs room that you're trying to put in, I think the whole thing just sounds really cool. I just got a question. This is for us internally. Parking comes up a lot in all these different things. And reading through the Plan Commission and Design Commission, I know the question came up, but I don't know if it actually ever got answered. If I missed it, I apologize. First of all, this is part of the question. What was, I know it was on the bottom floor. What was on the top floor, on the second floor before they started doing this?
Vantage Point occupied both floors.
Oh, they did
office.
They did have both floors. Okay. So they probably needed a certain amount of parking, even though it wasn't probably fluctuating as much when they were fully staffed, I'm guessing. Okay. So there are a lot of businesses down there I know, and I think this next, the next thing we're going to talk about is going to probably come up in there too. Talk about how there's not enough parking downtown right now. You hear people talk about that. And I know we've got the garages and we've got all those type of things going on. When should we as a board be concerned about the parking? Because we always waive these things and allow them to go by. When as a board should we stop and say, well, wait a second, there isn't going to be enough parking here, because if this goes away, I hope it goes for you, there's going to be an influx of people, more so than what was there before. So when do we actually stop and say, hey, no, we can't do this, we need more parking?
So I think that's an excellent question, and one that staff grapples with as well. As it relates to Hugh's proposal, they are requesting waiving the traffic and parking study, but they will be required to provide the parking, those 16 parking permits is what the code requires. They're not required to provide on-site parking because they're in the downtown B5 district, and most buildings are not able to provide parking on site. So the code allows for the purchase of permits. So they will be complying fully with the code if that is how the ordinance is approved. But in terms of the larger issue of adequate parking in the downtown, I think that is often the perception is that there is not adequate parking, and what is considered adequate varies from person to person, how far they're willing to walk. The sense that we have is that the Vail parking garage is rarely full. It fills up for Sounds of Summer on those Thursday evenings, but otherwise it is not typically full. But again, some people don't want to park on the upper levels of the parking garage or don't see that as convenient. regardless, one of the things that we will be looking at as part of the downtown update is parking. Whether we do a complete parking study as part of the update or not, we probably won't get into a complete parking update, but we will be looking at that. We will be talking with the community about parking in the downtown and parking needs. And then we fully anticipate that there will be some action items that will come out of that downtown master plan related to parking. So that is something that we anticipate looking at here in the very near future with that update.
If I could add to Trustee Zick, everything that Director Rodman said is spot on, but, we did do a full parking study, I want to say in 2017, 2018. And, one of the things that we note is there are parking lots, public parking lots in downtown Arlington Heights that are underutilized. Parking lot S, if you're in, near the corner of, Vale and Wing, for example, parking lot S, just on the other side of Jewel, it's probably not that far of a different of a walk than it is going to the Vale Garage. The other thing that we're looking at that staff